how annoying it is when you have to shake your phone to undo and it goes crazy like that? You don't have to do that anymore. Thanks to a quick tip from listener Ben this week, you can use 3 fingers to swipe to the left to undo, and you can use 3 fingers to swipe to the right. Swipe to the white? Swipe to the white, Mr. Fudd. Swipe to the right to redo. More tips like this today on Mac Geek Gab 946 for Monday, September 12th, 2022. Folks, and welcome to Mac Geek Gab 946, the show where you send in your tips, like the one Ben sent in, your questions, your feedback, your questions. I said your questions, your cool stuff found. You send it all in to feedback at macgeekgab.com, and then we loosely weave it into an agenda so that we can each learn at least 5 new things every single time we get together. Sponsors for this episode include helixsleep.com/MGG, where you can go to save up to $200 off your mattress, plus get 2 free pillows. You can go to linkedin.com today to join the conversation and get the tools you need to reach your audience. There's so many people out there on LinkedIn. It's a great place to be. And also, we've got a podcast to tell you about. We'll share more details about all of those and more a little bit later in the episode. For now, here, after having just ordered my deep purple iPhone 14 Pro, I'm Dave Hamilton.
And here in Fairfield, Connecticut, not having yet purchased the new phone, but I probably will. This is John F. Brown.
Und guten Tag from Köln, Deutschland. Afternoon, gents. Pilot Pete here. Dave, great minds think alike, because when you were asking John if he had a quick tip to start the show, and he said, and you said, well, I've got one. That's exactly what I was thinking of, going the 3-finger swipe. And I was going to add to it, you can go to the right to redo. Left undo, right redo. It's a cool tip. I bet there's more.
I bet there are more. Yeah, I bet there are more. In fact, I have a quick tip from Jeff that is, well, it also involves swiping, but it's a little bit different. He says, you probably know that if you enter a number incorrectly in the iPhone calculator, you can press C to cancel and re-enter the correct number. But did you know that you can simply erase a digit from the number you are currently entering by swiping left or right on the actual number you are entering at the time? Save typing in or retyping the whole number if it's long, because it's usually only the last digit that you fat-fingered. Of course, you may want to remind listeners that rotating the iPhone sideways into landscape mode converts the iPhone calculator into a full scientific calculator. So that's 2 quick tips in one. And we're hitting 3. We've 3 things for many of us. I always forget. I didn't know about the swiping, about any of the swiping we've talked about. The 3 fingers, the 1 finger, any of that. I did know about the scientific calculator, but I always forget that. So I love the reminder. So thank you, Jeff.
It'd be nice if it was a graphing calculator. I bet there's an app for that.
There is. Yeah, of course. Yeah. Plenty of them.
No, it's cool that this came up one time with one of the games that I'm still playing, though some people are not anymore. But in Pokemon Go, there was actually one situation where in order to evolve a creature, you had to turn the phone upside down.
Seriously?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Huh.
I mean, sometimes to evolve something, it puts a little question mark next to it saying, well, I'm not going to tell you exactly what you need to do.
That's fascinating. I like that. That's that whole, I mean, it's some creativity. I like it.
Yeah.
All right. That's pretty good. Fun. I'm trying to think if I have anything interesting like that to share. I don't. So I'm going to go to Steve, who has his own sort of PSA to share with us. He says, following up on your HDMI cable discussion, recently I upgraded my Apple TV remote to the latest Siri remote. After upgrading, the remote periodically lost its connection to the Apple TV device. It would connect and disconnect at least 3 or 4 times per hour. Ooh, okay, that's bad. He says, I called Apple support assuming I had a faulty remote. However, after being escalated to a senior engineer, they told me that the problem was likely an unshielded HDMI cable. They recommended a shielded HDMI cable, which I installed, and the problems have not come back since. So the moral of the story is HDMI cable speed isn't the only issue you can have. Shielding can impact performance too. I didn't even know that, like,
Yeah.
I've never seen that distinction when buying HDMI cables.
Yeah, I had no idea. That's cool.
Yeah, I don't know why. So I think to the audio world that I live in, and most it's so like buying like 1/4-inch cables, which would be like a guitar cable, for example. That's what it would look like. That the thicker headphone jack, but a monophonic cable, and this would go with stereo cables too. But for instrument cables like that and patching things together, you would get a shielded cable because of issues like this. You don't want your guitar picking up, the local radio station and have a Spinal Tap moment. However, if you are using that same type of cable or those same connectors, I should say, to connect a powered amplifier to a speaker, and you're running more juice across the cable, it's likely to heat up and the shielding can melt. So for speakers, you would use an unshielded cable. I can't imagine a world where you would need an HDMI cable to be unshielded for heat reasons. So I don't know why an HDMI cable would need to be unshielded, is what I'm trying to say. But evidently they exist.
Money. Cheaper.
Oh, yeah.
Cheaper
okay.
to build unshielded, right?
Fair. Sure. Yeah.
And then you wish, pay me now or pay me later. Then you got to go buy a shielded one.
Pay me now and pay me later.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I got those cables you recommended, Dave.
Okay.
Everything's working
I hope they're
as
shielded.
well as can be expected. I think I need a new tuner, though, because my tuner is doing dumb things.
What is your tuner doing?
It'll come up and say analog. And I'm like, no. So they're both analog and digital inputs for audio. And for whatever reason, it thinks that there's something hooked up to the analog ports, which there's not. So I don't know. I reset it again, and now it seems to be better. But
all right. Okay. Cool. Interesting.
Sounds to me like John has an excuse to go out and buy an all-new home theater system from the ground up.
I think
I did identify a newer Sony tuner that explicitly supports eARC. The one that I have now, I think, just does regular ARC, and maybe that's the problem. I don't know.
Well, let's have that conversation as part of our Mac Geek Gab Home Theater Zoom, which is happening on Sunday night. Sunday night after this releases. We record on Fridays, so for anybody in the live chat at live.macgeekgab.com, it's Sunday the 18th at 4:30 p.m. So Sunday afternoon for some of us, Sunday morning for some, late Sunday night for others. And
if you're hearing this just now, go hop in your time machine, go back to last night, and get aboard.
So yeah, Sunday 10
was
days.
I not
from
supposed to release the time machine thing?
No, not yet, Pete. That's our one more thing. No,
right.
That's fine. Yeah. So yeah. Well, that's a good conversation to have, because the real question is, do you even need an AVR? Like, is that the best way to go? And that's that. Questions like this will be discussed. It'll be fun. We'll meet in Discord, but we will do it as a Zoom hangout because Discord seems to limit it to 25 video participants. And last time we had a lot more than that. And some people were upset because we didn't realize you were being excluded. It is not our goal to exclude anyone. In fact, it's quite the opposite. We are so inclusive here. We welcome Android and Windows users. It's true. It's a safe place for everybody. Greg Greg's got something that he was having a weird issue where his apps were routinely being asked or routinely asking him to re-authenticate their security preferences, full disk access, things like that. And he thought it was a default folder causing this trouble. And thankfully, that's what he thought, because he started working with John Gotow, the proprietor of St. Clair Software and the developer of many things, including default folder. And John's a smart dude and pointed Greg in the right direction of issuing a terminal command that sort of wipes out that database. It forces you to do it for each app one more time. But when that database gets corrupted, that's often the issue, is wipe it out and let that happen again. And so he gave us the terminal command. He shared that with us. And that is, this is typed out in the show notes for Mac Geek Gab 946. You can go to macgeekgab.com and go to 946, or you can go to mgg.fm/946 and it'll bring you right there. But the command, just for anybody following along, is sudo tccutil reset all, and the all evidently has to have a capital A. Who knows why? But that command is on the web. You can just go copy and paste it. You don't have to remember it. But yeah, so I had no idea about that command. Did you guys know anything about it?
I did. I've seen tccutil once or twice, but
yeah,
no, I did not know that specifically. So that's great.
It's fantastic. I love it. It's almost fall here in New England, but some of the weather so far has felt like fall. And one of the benefits of that is how cozy it is to sleep. Good sleeping weather. You know what else makes it cozy to sleep? Our sponsor, Helix Sleep, because we've had one of these Helix mattresses for a while and we love it. Helix Sleep is a premium mattress brand that provides tailored mattresses based on your unique sleep preferences. Their lineup at Helix includes 14 unique mattresses. So how do you know which Helix mattress works best for you and your body? You take the Helix Sleep Quiz and find your perfect mattress in under 2 minutes. And then your mattress, your personalized mattress, is shipped straight to your door, free of charge. I love this Helix mattress, and that quiz makes it so easy. Lisa and I took the quiz together. It's built to take alone or with a partner. We found that the Midnight mattress was right for us, and they were right about this. It's been perfect. We love it. It's amazing. And they've got models with memory foam layers to provide optimal pressure relief if you sleep on your side. They've got models with a more responsive foam to cradle your body for essential support in the stomach and back sleeping positions, all the stuff. And here's the thing. Helix is offering up to $200 off of all mattress orders and 2 free pillows just for you, our listeners. Go to helixsleep.com/MGG. With Helix, better sleep starts now. And our thanks to Helix at helixsleep.com/MGG for sponsoring this episode. All right, let's go to one of those questions that came in to feedback at macgeekgab.com from listener James. And James says, I was having an email problem, and as I was digging into it, I discovered multiple duplicates of emails from a particular location from my work, from a date range from July 29th, 2021 through August 1st, 2021. So a few days. These duplicates, thousands of them, do not show when I do any search within the Mail app. I've tried numerous methods to find and delete them without manually going through each subfolder of my mailboxes. I will be making multiple backups of the mail folder, so I am looking for suggestions, methods, or tools that I can use to remove these duplicates safely, because he doesn't want to have to go through and do it manually. I guess he's got a lot of folders that these things have decided to archive themselves in. I have 2 thoughts for this, and I know he's already tried one of them, but just for the sake of the audience, the first thing I would do is delete use Onyx, our pal Onyx, the excellent utility software, to delete the mail envelope index database and then relaunch Mail and let it rebuild that. That may solve problems like this. I don't believe it's going to solve James's problem because I think he's tried it, but that would be, for me, that would be step 1. Well, that would be, as long as step 0 is make a backup, then that would be step 1. Step 2, or attempt 2, would be I would build a smart mailbox to filter to that date range and see what it comes up with. You can then filter even further down by, sender, and that way it can encompass messages from all mailboxes. This may or may not work because you're saying that search doesn't find these duplicate messages. And so I don't know what the functionality the smart mailbox is going to use to, like, whatever's keeping search from seeing it. Would it also keep smart mailboxes from seeing it? I don't know. But we try to answer these questions with the, if I were there, here's what I would try next approach. And that's what I would try next. What do you, John, do you have anything that you would try next?
From what I recall, in Onyx, there are 2 different options for rebuilding the mail database. So
Okay.
try both of them.
Fair.
Unfortunately, the version of Onyx I have on here is old, so I can't tell you exactly, but it's in there somewhere. Last I looked.
I highly recommend using Mac Updater because that way, if you let that run all the time, then it will tell you when. And if I probably run Mac Updater once a week on all of my Macs, and it's for exactly this reason, right? Like if it's an app I use every day, it will tell me when I launch it that it needs an update, and then I do the update and everything's fine. But for the apps that I use, once in a blue moon kind of thing, like Onyx, I want it to be up to date when I go to run it. And Mac Updater sort of keeps me up to date, so to speak. I love that software. It's one of my favorite apps, which is kind of crazy to say. But anyway, back to the mail question, Pete. Yeah?
Yeah, so I think, speaking of updating, I think Clean My Mac will also help you update your, keep you up to date on your programs. I'm assuming he's using IMAP. So I'm wondering if changing clients may help.
Oh, so you're okay. So let's unpack that a little bit. I like this idea. If his archive mailboxes that he has put things in, if all of these folders exist on IMAP, then yes, checking the server for them and seeing what, are these dupes on the server or are they just some
in your client?
Yeah, some ghost in your client kind of thing. Because if it truly is an IMAP, like if it's an issue with your local cache from the IMAP server, then really just deleting the mailbox entirely from your Mac and re-adding it would force it to resync with that IMAP database. And that might be another solution here.
Yeah.
Yeah. But if they are on my Mac folders, then obviously that doesn't help us.
Sure.
But
and then I'm wondering,
I like that idea. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the other thing I wonder then is even maybe possibly changing clients. I know there's a free client out there called Thunderbird, which I've used in the past, and I don't know why I'm not on it now. I have found it give me more granular control than Mac Mail. Yeah. And I'm wondering if there's any other clients out there that are worth a darn. I know that there's paid service. I forget the name of the paid service, and I'm pretty sure you use it, Dave. Okay.
No.
Do you not use a paid service that smartly sorts your mail?
I do, but it wouldn't. That wouldn't be. Okay. I use SaneBox to keep my inboxes and all of my mailboxes.
That's what I was thinking of.
Managed, and it's. Don't get me wrong. It's great. I couldn't. I don't want to even consider having to run my life without it. But that wouldn't be something to help in this. Okay. It wouldn't help fix this. Yeah. But there is Spark, which is a paid Mac OS mail app. But if you're just going to try it for the sake of trying it, Thunderbird's free and very well supported. It's from the Mozilla Foundation, the people that make Firefox. So if I weren't going to use, my issue with using non-first party mail clients, aka not Apple Mail, is I am reliant on the developer to keep their client up to date for the operating systems that I'm running. And that was the issue I ran into in the past, right? Like I used Eudora, I used Mailsmith, and those things were they were not kept as up to date as I would like them before they were end of lifed, if that makes sense. And Mailsmith might not have even been end of lifed. But it, there were these sort of diminishing returns on those apps before they actually were just like, yeah, hey, you shouldn't be using this anymore. And so that's when I think it was when Mac OS 10, like the OS 10, the OG OS 10, which I think was called Mac OS 10, came out, that I moved to Mail App and haven't looked back. And I've been happy about that. But if something happened with Mail App that just made it untenable for me, Thunderbird would be the first thing I'd look at, simply because it is cross-platform and because of that kept up to date with everything, because it's through the Mozilla Foundation. So it's not a smaller development company where if they decide this isn't, a profitable thing, it's tough to be a profitable Mac mail client, is I guess what I'm trying to say here.
Sure.
Because Apple's is so functional for so many people. And despite them making it more difficult, it really still is quite extensible. And so there's third-party extensions that can add on to Mail App and all of that. So it's tough to be in the business of competing with free and included with the operating system. Right? Like you'd have to offer something really compelling to convince us to switch. And for some people, that's just a different user experience, right? Like they don't like the way Mac Mail App does. They do like the way Spark does it, and that's enough. Like they're in. Sure. And I guess if you're on all IMAP all the time, then switching mail clients isn't quite as big of a deal as it was in the past. Right? Because
you aren't having to migrate everything over to a new client. It's already there for you.
It's kind of already there. Yeah. So, but still, it's hard to compete with free and included and guaranteed to be up to date. Yeah. Right? There's zero chance that when I install Ventura, my mail client is going to be, I got to wait for an update, a compatibility update. Like it's baked in. It's already there. Yeah. So it's a hard thing. Yeah, because there are some features in third-party mail clients that I look at and I'm like, oh, yeah, that would be good. But I don't know. I do so much of my life in email.
Right.
Yeah.
As sadly we all do by the hundreds of mails in my.
Yeah, exactly.
Nay, thousands.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. All right. Well, shall we move on to listener John?
Yeah.
Sure. Let's talk fraud.
Let's talk fraud.
For folks that have the Apple Card, I learned some things I wasn't aware of that listeners may like to know. I had a questionable charge show up on my Apple Card. I get a notification for every charge that shows up on my watch. I went to the wallet and to the section for the Apple Card. Scrolling down, I find a transaction. When I clicked on the right pointer, I saw it was done at 3 a.m. when I was asleep. At the bottom is a link to report an issue, which I could contest the charge or just indicate I didn't recognize the vendor, which is what applied to me. Now, here's where the neat stuff starts. When I clicked to report the issue, I was taken to the Messages app where a message reported that someone would be writing with me from the Apple team at Goldman Sachs. In about a minute, someone joined the conversation, and they confirmed that I still had my card and hadn't loaned it to anyone. We'll have to issue you a new number. Great, I'm thinking. Now, I've had to do this before with other cards and always get you'll receive your new card in 7 to 10 business days. Yep. Within 10 seconds, she texted, okay, you have a new number and it's in your iPhone's wallet along with a new CV number. I was stunned. Now I understand why there is no number on the card. She also added, you might want to consider going to the Apple Card in your wallet, click on the icon for the card in the upper right corner, and then turn on advanced fraud protection. This will allow us to change your CV code from time to time, further preventing the use of your card in the event your card information is stolen. Finally, she added that they would go ahead and show I was contesting the charge. I didn't know about any of this, but I thought it was pretty cool. I'll add one cool thing that I've run into, and then you guys can chime in here. I'm sure you guys got follow-ups here. So I decided to get a new Discover card. This is actually probably kind of relevant. So I decided to get a new Discover card. You can get a custom background. Not all cards are for this. But they offered it. I'm like, yeah, I'm kind of bored with the background on my current one. So I picked a new one. And
which one did you pick? Inquiring minds. If we're going to take this tangent, I want to go all the way. Which one did you pick?
The old one I had was a tape cassette.
Yep.
But the new one I picked is a boombox.
Ah, nice. All right.
So anyways, but here was the thing. Within a day, I got an email from them saying, yeah, we got your order for the new card. But then when I looked in my wallet, the background had changed on it, Dave.
Very cool.
in your Apple Wallet.
Yes.
Ah.
Before I got the physical card.
Right. Oh, that's
so that was
cool.
neat. So so I think this is relevant because I think if your card is in your Apple Wallet, things like this may be able to happen with other cards. Or I guess the story is I've seen things happen to things in the wallet before I got the physical card that resolved whatever issue I had.
Sure. What I'm curious what other things, if you can remember, what other things you've seen, because your wallet doesn't have, I guess it would have your actual card number. Yeah. Because I had to have one of my card numbers replaced and I saw it change in my wallet before I got the new card. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. Huh. Yeah. Interesting. Fun.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah. So, and then we have a note here. I think it's from our friend Brian. But you can freeze a card temporarily also. And a lot of cards or their apps will allow you to do that as well.
Yeah.
At least I know Discover does. You just say, shut it off.
Yeah.
And then if somebody has, especially your physical card, it won't work. And they'll get in trouble.
Yeah. And a reminder that you can share with family and limit spending. Apple offers all of that now. Things they did not offer when the card first came out. So I should use I have almost never used my Apple Card, largely because most of my technology purchases are business expenses. And so I want to run those through the business, and there is no Apple Card for business yet. I don't know that there ever will be. That wasn't a subtweet at Apple. It's just the reality of things. I don't know that it makes sense for them to offer that, but there are benefits to it. The rewards programs there are pretty good. So yeah. Interesting. Yeah. What do you, Pete? What you got some thoughts on this?
Well, you guys stole all my thunder, except
sorry.
for one thing. Yeah, no worries. No, that's great stuff. Yeah, one you can share with people that are in your family. You can. So my daughter's away at college, and so she has. I have shared with her, and like you said, you can limit the spending if you need to or want to. Fortunately, she's not a spendthrift, so I'm good with that.
Yeah.
But she did misplace her card last week. She was at the gas. Oh no, so, I don't have it. So I was able to
hang on one second. I'm just going to acknowledge Pete's in Germany, and while his connection's been fantastic during the show, there are going to be moments like this. So share that again. You got up to the point where you had said your daughter's not a spendthrift and things were fine, and then that's when we began to lose you.
Yeah, but you can limit their spending to whatever you set, $25 a month, $100 a month, what have you, and then the same thing with the. You can lock the card. She misplaced her card. I was able to lock it. She texted me back, said, "Hey, I found the card," and then unfreeze it, so you're good to go.
Amazing.
But I did have one other experience that I found really good. The whole 7 to 10 business days. I thought, oh, I'm in for this. When my son and I drove to Florida to take him to camp, I gave him the card to pay for something, and he forgot to give it back to me. And then he went to camp, and 3 days later, I had forgotten I'd loaned him the Apple Card. And so I'm like, it's gone. I've misplaced it. I looked everywhere, called Apple, called Goldman Sachs, and they FedExed me a new card to my non-home address. Once they verified who I was and
sure
all that, I said, I kind of need it before I drive home, which gave them 2 weeks to get it to me, and they FedExed me. I had it the next day in hand. I was like, wow. So they are not trying to turn this into an Apple Card commercial.
No, I'm glad to hear that, because that's one of the things I've, we all have our reasons for being loyal to the banks and service providers that we use in general, right? And one of them that keeps me loyal to both American Express and Citibank, which is the companies that I've used for most of my credit cards for most of my adult life, are things exactly like that, where once I've convinced them I'm the Dave Hamilton I say I am, then, I've had the Amex, overnight me a card to a hotel without even a flinch, And so I like knowing that if I make that phone call, that it's going to end in success. And I'm glad to hear that that's true with the Apple Card as well. I mean, it's not surprising, right? It's not Apple doing this. It's Goldman Sachs doing this. They're in the business of doing this. They've been doing this for a long time, far longer than their deal with Apple. So that's good to hear. That's great.
Yeah. And just as the side note, the part of their benefit is the cash back, right? And so I always have cash in my Apple wallet. So when I want to buy something, when I want a Subway, when I want, that sort of thing, then, it's right there. Just pay for it with that. And
okay, so this is going to show my ignorance, which I'm happy to do. The whole point of this show is learning. I as I said, I don't use my Apple Card enough to even know what that experience is like. When you get cash back for your Apple Card purchases, that goes into your Apple Pay cash bucket.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes, it does. And then so for those of you on video, right, there it is. It comes up and there it is. So you can see my balance. I got almost $200 in my Apple Cash right now. I've never put money in there. It just
amazing.
It just shows up. So when I, if I'm at Best Buy and I want that $100 thing, I could go do it now. And
all right. Okay. Yeah.
So it's nice. It's a way to spend money without feeling like you're spending money. Yeah, it's yours.
See, now I want an Apple business card so that that it can fuel cash to any account I choose, and it may or may not be a personal one. I would check with my accountant before reporting or not reporting that on my taxes, of course, and I advise you all to do the same. That's all I have to say about that.
Now, by default, though, I don't think the Apple Cash card is included in your wallet, right?
Oh, I think it is. The Apple Pay Cash? I think that's
I think it is, just because I never went and got it.
Yeah.
It just showed up one time. Oh, in fact, the first time I was with a friend, we were scuba diving on a trip, and I said, just Venmo me the money. He goes, I can't do that. What's your phone number? He gave it to me. I gave it to him, and he sent it as Apple Cash, and then my card appeared. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, no, that's there in the wallet, I think, by default. What makes you think it wasn't? Maybe there's a good reason.
No, I think probably when I got my Apple Card, it probably put it in there for me.
Okay.
It's not linked, but you don't need an Apple. I know all three of us have Apple Cards, but you don't need an Apple Card to have Apple Cash in your wallet. Like the two are unrelated, because I pay the woman who cuts my hair with Apple Pay Cash, and she loves it because for the same reason you love having your sort of found money there. She's like, if my kids need, $5, $10, I can, I know that I've got some money that's just sort of floating there, and I can send it to them. It's like, yeah, it's good.
Yeah. And I believe you can use that as a debit card. I think it's actually a Discover debit card.
I think that's right. That's correct. Yeah,
Nice.
I think that's right. I think, did they change from Discover? There's something in my, murky memory banks that says that they changed. I think you can even look at that. Card details. It is
it's Visa debit now.
Visa debit. Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Go murky memory banks.
I wonder if my PIN comes up as, I won't say what it is, but I
think ours is the same, Pete. I'm seeing the same thing on our pins as being.
It's all grayed
zeros.
out, like you can't change. Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Well, that's not mine. Nope, that's Dave's.
That's Dave's. Yeah,
Right,
So here we are sharing our pin numbers like it's nothing. Yep.
There you go.
Yep.
And the other thing I will add just briefly on there, talking about the cards, is you hit the you go into your Apple Wallet and you touch on the card so it comes up. If you scroll down, you see all your spending, but in the top right, there's 3 dots. And that's where you get into the granular control over sharing it with somebody, locking a card, finding what your available credit is, that sort of thing. So that's how you get there. It's the 3 dots up there once you've got your card. And if you need to see your account number right next to it, there's a little icon of a credit card that says 1, 2, 3. You touch on that and you can see your card number to give to somebody. But as John said, if you allow them to change that, don't give that number to somebody that's going to be a recurring payment because it isn't going to work forever. They're going to change it.
That may not be true, Pete.
Oh, okay. Good point. Yeah, good point. My American Express, when that number changes, my recurring bills keep hitting, and they honor it.
Because what they do, and even Amazon does this. Like, I still am billing a credit card number that's like too old for all of my Amazon purchases, or most of them anyway. Yeah. And it's because what they do is when you put your card number in, they go get a token from the bank, and they don't store your card number. They store that token that only allows Amazon to make purchases, right? So it's a whole lot more. It's kind of like a two-factor authentication is the wrong thing. Maybe
the
like
security
OAuth.
is amazing, but I know what you mean. Yeah, it's that
like an
individual
OAuth
token
thing.
that
Correct.
doesn't work anywhere else. Yeah.
It's how it works when you sign up for Mac Geek Gab Premium, which I'm actually going to talk a little bit about that later in the show. But it's the same thing. We get a token from you that we can, charge recurring payments to if you give us permission to do that. But yeah, that way we don't have your number, but also we don't need you to update it if your card number changes. So yeah, it's pretty good.
Very cool.
All right. John, while we're on the subject of these cards and such, I think Donna had a nice tip for us. Yeah.
Yeah, and actually 2 tips.
All right, even better.
So she sent in a thing saying, here's a special offer I thought you might want to share from your listeners. Get 6% cash back at Nike with Apple Pay through October 15th. Yeah, so that's it. So and they have also, if you go to the main Apple Card page in the fine print, you will see these.
Okay.
And what else do they say here? Plus unlimited 3% daily cash back. Yeah, that's and they kind of mention it here. But here's my question, Dave.
Okay.
How did she find out about this? Nobody told me. And so that's the kind of mini tip here is, so if you go into settings and then click on your ID and then click on name, phone number, email, and you scroll down a little bit, subscriptions. And the one that will give you this sort of information is called announcements. And guess what? On my setup, it was off. So I now turned it on so I can learn about these. There's 2 other choices, apps, music, TV, and more. And I get those. And then Apple News newsletter. Okay.
So this is in iPhone settings app. Is that right?
Yes.
We're going to need to start to be really specific about that, because up until now, and still currently, settings is the name of the settings app only on iOS and iPadOS. Mm-hmm. And system preferences is the name of the similarly functional app on macOS. But when Ventura comes out, it's all settings all the time. So we're going to have to be a little more specific. Although maybe we won't. Maybe these things will be consistent between the two. So, LinkedIn is a place for you to share your ideas. So whether you're passionate about healthcare, sports and entertainment, tech, finance, or anything in between, there's a community of more than 850 million people who care about the same things as you. When you create and share on LinkedIn, you're not just connecting with other people, you're connecting with opportunities. Whether it's a new job, a speaking engagement, contract work, or more followers, the people who see your work on LinkedIn are the ones who can generate business outcomes. LinkedIn is a place where people help one another in their professional journeys, whatever that might look like, right? So when you share what you know, the conversations you start can help others develop new skills or inspire them with new perspectives. Go visit LinkedIn.com today and join the conversation and get the tools you need to reach your audience. That's LinkedIn.com. John and I will see you over there. And our thanks to LinkedIn for sponsoring this episode. All right. So speaking of updates to operating systems, today, the day that this show comes out, which would be the 12th of September, 2022, also the anniversary of the first date that Lisa and I had back 30 years prior, it's iOS 16 release day. And so we've been running iOS 16 a little bit here on our devices. And John, you actually just went through the install process. So I'm curious, you did the manual install because, of course, you were installing the GM. But I'm curious what your experience was like after the first reboot, right? Because that's where it's going to match what everybody else is going to see today as they start installing this. Was there anything you went through after that initial reboot that would be helpful?
Not
or was
really.
Okay. All right.
I mean, until I started changing things on my own, but I mean, the first thing that I noticed that was different is there's now a spotlight search field on your home screen.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now I can. But I did find something that was different, and I think very clever, Dave. If I can just give you this mini little tip. So first off, we'll link to an article. If you want to find out what's in iOS 16, there's Apple has an article that lists all of the new features, but this one wasn't listed, Dave. So so I got a bogus message in my messages. I think everybody gets these. It's like, oh, your Amazon is deactivated. Click on this link, and it's not an Amazon link. So, I'm like, oh, man. Here's what happened, though. So I got one of these, Dave, and I went to delete it, and then I got a dialogue saying, you can report this conversation as junk by sending it to Verizon and Apple from your phone number. I'm like,
that's a Verizon feature. I don't think that's an iOS 16 feature. I could be wrong about that.
The thing is, I got a dialogue asking me if I wanted to report it. Normally, you have to do this manually, and you can. I think normally you text to spam or something like that.
No. This has been there for a long time. The report junk button. This is not iOS 16. This must just be. It must be new to you for the first time.
I don't
maybe
recall ever seeing it when I deleted a bogus text.
Interesting. Okay, so yeah, Warren in the chat room is saying that this is iOS 16. I thought that message had been there for a long time. Maybe not. All right. Yeah. Thank you for that then. Sorry about that. Here it is.
Yeah, interesting.
One of my new things.
It's not coming up. I'm on 15 still. I didn't do the beta, and it's not. I'm only offered a chance to delete it. That'd be great.
Yeah, so it must
good.
be using machine learning to look at the text of it and say, okay, that's not right.
Right. Yeah. Well, no, I think it's looking and seeing that this is a number that's not in your contacts. And that's
okay.
I don't think there's machine learning happening there. I think it's just because it even says this sender is not in your contact list. Report junk. Like that's the dialogue, and that's really all it is. Because I've had that from other people too, where it's like, oh yeah, no, this is.
So let me take us down a rabbit hole with a question then.
Yeah.
Because here's what I frequently do. I will, when I get a text like that I don't want, or a phone call telling me that car warranty's out of date or what have you, I will block that number, or I will block that sender. But I will also add them to my blocked senders contact, which has hundreds of numbers in there. I'm wondering if I ought to delete that block sender's contact so that it can come up as not being in my contacts.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Well, I mean,
yeah, I've created a contact called block senders, which has hundreds of numbers and email addresses,
sure,
and that sort of thing. And so that if they do call back, they come up as block sender, spam risk, that sort of thing. But
why wouldn't you just add that to your blocked contacts?
Yeah.
Like there is a blocked contacts list that you can add things to, right?
I wonder if I thought I created it, but maybe I add them in my contacts list. I have a contact named block senders, and I think that's blocked senders. And it's hundreds of email or phone numbers and a few emails. Did I create that, or did Apple create that at some point? Now, there's another question to which I do not have the answer. However,
is it in your contacts list?
Yeah. See here, I'll go into here. I'll show it on the video, but yeah, that's one of my contacts, blocked senders, and it has literally more numbers than emails, but I do emails as well because some will sometimes from an email.
No, that's something you created. Because the block contacts, if you go into settings, phone, and iOS settings to follow the new protocols, iOS settings or iPhone settings is really what we should say. Phone, blocked contacts, then you can add numbers there. And you can do the same with mail. Yeah. So, and that's not new to iOS 16. All right. So we found one feature that's new to iOS 16. Let's keep moving here because I think there's some bigger ones. The one I've been using and quite frankly like the most is the customizable home screen. So for those of you who have Apple Watches, the user experience of this will be very, very similar to how you customize your watch faces. You just pull up your home screen, you tap long on it, and then you get, not only can you customize a home screen, but you can have multiple home screens. And as an aside, you can have them chosen by different focus modes. And when you go into customize, you get the ability to add widgets. Now, hopefully starting Monday, we'll start seeing some third-party apps that can also populate these widgets. But I've been using Apple's widgets. I can change what the time looks like. But I can also set different little pieces of information to be up there. So on my main home screen, I have the weather up on the left, and it's just the current weather, which is nice to have updated all the time. And then on the right, I've actually chosen to have this kind of mini stock price widget, mainly because I have a business interest in another thing where the price of Bitcoin actually kind of matters. The business isn't really based on Bitcoin, but it's a long story. But anyway, I like to know what the current price of Bitcoin is because I have to look it up every now and then. And it's nice to just have it on my home screen. And so, boom, that's right where it is. And it's great. But you can have your activity rings there. You can have home settings so you can turn your lights on and off. You can have different time zones. You can have your calendar stuff. And then hopefully you can have your battery statuses. And hopefully other apps start adding things there soon, too. So, yeah.
I've got a question.
Yeah, man. Please.
So you said focus mode can change your home screen.
Yeah.
Can you, in geolocation or geofencing, change your home screen? Or if not, I suppose, can you geofence or geolocate your focus mode? Like when you get in the car and automatically drive, that'll change to driving.
You're right.
Yeah.
So let me go to automations here. So I'm going to create a personal automation in the Shortcuts app. And I am going to say when I arrive at this address, because that way it knows I'm home in any time range, I can add an action. Can I change the focus mode? Yes, I can set focus. So there you go. Can I change my lock screen? I don't set orientation lock, set water lock. No. I can't. So it would be a double thing. You set a focus mode based on a location and then have that lock screen tied to a focus mode. And so, yes, you can. I love shortcuts. Cool. Yeah, super easy. The thing I love about it is you don't have to know what you don't know. Right? You can just go into automation. You start creating a new one. You're like, can I trigger a thing based on this? And you can just look through the list of triggers. And, it's like, look, you can do that. Great. Okay, great. And then, all right, what actions can I do? Well, you look through the list of actions. And you can obviously filter it down like I just did. Sure. But yeah, I love. Do you use shortcuts a bunch, Pete? Is that a thing? Or automations,
more and
I should
more.
say.
Yeah, automations. Yeah, more and more I am. And there was actually one, and of course I can't think of what it is now, that you guys discussed probably a year or so ago. And I've never gotten it to work, and I keep meaning to ask you about it. So I have to figure out what it is and get back to you on it.
Sure. Yeah. We have a show where we actually answer questions just
if
like
only
that.
there's a way to do that. Right? Yeah.
Feedback at macgeekgab.com.
Yes.
There you go. Feedback at macgeekgab.com. I think
all the way from Germany. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Feedback. MacGeekGab.com. Yeah.
There's only one thing I didn't like about the home screen. So there's also a whole bunch of other things you can do. I guess you can cycle through photos. You can do emojis, weather.
And we should say lock screen. I kept saying home screen too, John, but it's locked. No, it's fine. It's yeah. So keep going.
Yeah.
Sorry.
The only thing I didn't like is that, as far as I can tell, you can only add 2 widgets. If you try to add another one, it's like, nope.
That's correct. Yeah. You can add two. I don't know if you can add one big one or two little ones, but yes, I've done the two little ones thing. Yeah, I would like more. Typical Apple thing, right? They roll out a feature, put up hard boundaries, see how people use it, expand the boundaries next year, et cetera, et cetera.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, and I do like getting notifications on the bottom.
Yes.
I think that's a nicer way of doing it.
I agree.
Yeah.
I like, so there's new features in both mail and messages that I've been enjoying. More so mail out of the gate than messages. And the thing I like the most in mail, the newest feature that I like the most, is delayed send. This is something I've used on my Mac with a third-party plugin for a while. But if you go into settings, mail, and I'm going to find it here to make sure I send everybody to the right spot. But if you go to settings, mail, I believe it's all the way at the bottom of your mail settings on iPhone, you can set an undo send delay. And so I've got mine set at 30 seconds, and it's amazing, right? Because you click send, and it waits 30 seconds before it actually leaves your device. And you can set it to 10, 20, or 30. On my Mac, I have it set to 2 minutes, by the way. I would like a higher number here on my Mac, or on my iPhone. This has been... Sorry, go ahead, John.
Well, no, I think you're mixing features here. Are you talking send later or undo send?
I'm talking the undo send.
Okay, I thought you were talking about send later. Okay.
Right, you can set a message to send in a scheduled send in the future. No, this is undo send, where every message I send is now, and I had to choose this. By default, it's off. I chose 30 seconds, and I can't tell you how many times over the past couple of years that I've been doing this on my Mac, it has saved my butt, because I'll reply to an email, hit send, and then it's like, oh wait, I should have asked about this, or oh, I should have, it happens all the time. I know it happens to all of us, right? You send an email and you're like, oh, I forgot to add a thing, or I forgot to whatever, or maybe that wasn't the best way to say that. And so, go ahead.
Yeah, to get a bit personal, sometimes, mostly with family, and that's all I'm going to say, there may be an email that you want to write, but delete it when you're done. Because sending it can result in turmoil.
Sure,
that's
absolutely.
all I'll say.
I've received one or two emails in the past where I'm like, yeah, you probably shouldn't have sent that through email. We probably should have done this another way.
Yeah, voice is good. Exactly. Yeah. No, that's right. I will often do that, where I will use email to compose my thoughts. But in those instances, what I do is make sure that there is no recipient listed on the message. And that way, if I accidentally hit send, it's not going anywhere dangerous. So, yeah.
So, which brings me to a feature that I've wanted for years. And I thought, well, I'll find somebody to help me write an app and make $1 million with it. But
sure,
it's hard. Delay send on it. I'd love to be able to delay send a message, a text message. Because especially, if it's 3:00 in the morning and I'm on a jump seat to go home and my wife's going to pick me up, I want to send her a text message that's going to arrive, half an hour before she needs to leave. Not at 3 a.m. So I'd love to be able to schedule a text message. So
let it sit in Apple's system, so your phone doesn't have to be online. That's interesting. I've had that exact same thought process, to be honest. However, it is usually followed up by, if that person, whomever they might be, has not yet learned what Do Not Disturb is and how to use it, this is a fine opportunity to encourage them to do so.
There you go. Wake up. It's 3 a.m.
Yeah, I mean,
turn on Do Not Disturb.
I used to feel bad about that years and years ago. And even when Do Not Disturb was in its infancy, just after it had rolled out. But now, I mean, this has been a feature for years on every device, Android, iPhone. True. It's like, I kind of expect that people manage their do not disturb settings. Like right now, if my family's trying to text me, I have no idea because I have a focus mode for podcasting that keeps that interruption from happening. And it's fine. Like I've learned how to manage my life to let my phone do what I want, not what it and everybody else that knows the number wants. You know, but you have to do that in today's world. And I that's one of the things I really love about Apple's, the focus mode feature, because it syncs to all my devices and it really speaks to that. It's like I get to take control of all of the things that are out of my control, if that makes sense. Like these push notifications and all that stuff, they're other people or companies or engines that are attempting to get my attention. Some of them that I want to get my attention, just not right then. And I love the focus modes.
Which again takes me to another question then. Suppose it's an emergency. Dave has notification silence. Do you want to notify anyway? Can I get through to you when you are in your podcast mode and don't want to be disturbed? It's an emergency. I'm bleeding to death. I need you to help now. My favorites can blast through if they want. Gotcha. There you go. All right.
But when to be extremely anal and specific, you are actually in the podcast focus mode. So you can get through to me anytime I am in podcast focus mode. It's just, there's 4 people on that list and 2 of them are here and the other 2 are my co-hosts for Geek Gab and Business Brain. So,
There you go.
Yeah.
And the good news is I'm not bleeding to death. That was just an example.
I understand. Yes. Right. I'm glad.
So, and I found the the backing up just to close the loop on the shortcut. It was SSH to restart my Mac. It's talking with tokens and keys and all sorts of things that I don't want to call it. It's just, choose an SSH key and authentication and and I can't seem to get through to it to just SSH into my Mac and restart it from remote. But
interesting. Yeah.
What seemed simple up front drove me nuts for a couple hours, and I went, to heck with it. I'll ask Dave later, and I keep forgetting.
John,
so you've officially been asked.
Okay, yeah, we can go through that. Absolutely. Yeah. John, one feature that of iOS 16 that you might like and really fits into our penultimate chat was the Daily Cash Hub, which helps you learn how to earn daily cash with your Apple Card. You can view the lifetime daily cash you've received, track your progress towards offers, and find the latest bonus daily cash merchants. So you're going to want to, I think Daily Cash Hub in iOS 16 is going to be a John F. Braun favorite.
So where is that?
Well, I don't know. I'm just reading about it, John. So but let's go to Apple Wallet, because that's where I presume it would be. And if I'm wrong, that's just how it is.
Ooh. See, my guess would be back in the ID. Where earlier we were talking about John had the tip about how to sign up for the emails and such. I would have thought it would have been in there under your ID and then name, phone numbers, and email.
I did find it, so I'm happy to share where it actually is.
I'm wrong.
We can all stop guessing. It is in Wallet. You go to your Apple Card, and then the way I got there was in the upper right corner. There's 3 dots in a circle. Mm-hmm. Hit that and choose Daily Cash. And then it shows me, how much cash I've received. So I've received $54.13 in daily cash at lifetime here. I'm sure that pales in comparison to some of you. And then then there's all sorts of things I can earn at Ace Hardware, and it just lists all the current offers. And I can tap on the ones that matter to me, and it teaches me about them. So yeah, there you go. Soon to be a John F. Braun favorite. I like the Home app. If you use HomeKit to manage anything in your house, the way you can customize and lay that out is much better. And I think I mentioned on the show CarPlay, I like the enhancements, especially to maps in CarPlay. It's a whole lot more robust, which is great. So I'm appreciating that. They've got those, fueling reminders and things like that. So it's all good. I did have one problem, and it's interesting. I've been running the iOS 16 betas on my daily driver phone for, I guess, about a month now. And I even had them, it was what I was running when we were traveling to Dallas for Podcast Movement. Never had a problem. I installed what I believe is, the current latest, which I believe is the Golden Master, and likely is the release version that we're all going to get on Monday. And Siri stopped working. I could say, "Hey, S-Lady," and it would show me that it was going to answer, and then it would just stop and go back to whatever the heck it was doing. And I could nothing that sometimes she would actually listen to me, and then she'd say after a little bit, "One moment," and then still working on it. And this would be for things like, "Hey, S-Lady, what time is it?" Not things that require a whole lot of cloud interaction, right? And so I started looking into this, and I went into settings, iOS settings, Siri and search. I turned listen for "Hey, S-Lady" off and then back on. That did not solve it, but I share my path in case any of you run into it. And I'm not convinced it was one thing that solved it. It might have been a couple things. And then the other thing that I did, and I did this after reading a How to Geek article, is I changed the language from US English to UK English. And once it finished doing all of its downloads that it had to do, Siri worked again. And then I changed it back to US English, and Siri still works again. So either just changing the language or changing the language and toggling "Hey, S-Lady" on and off. I had to go back through the training process when I turned "Hey, S-Lady" back on, where it makes you say, what's the weather, what's the time, several 5 phrases or something. But that's how I fixed "Hey, Siri." Sorry. Hang on, I got to make sure all my devices aren't waking up here. And if anybody runs into that problem, either with the beta or not, these were instructions on how to fix it from, a year ago or something. It wasn't related to iOS 16, but something in my life broke that. I don't know if it was the installation of the latest GM or if it was just something else, but yeah. Strange that if I was going to have a problem, it didn't happen with earlier betas. It happened with the release beta. So, there you go.
Now, one question for you.
Yeah, man.
How do you unbeta your device?
Oh, man. You have to completely wipe it clean. You got to go into DFU mode and start from scratch. If you have a backup from iOS 15, you could restore to that. But otherwise, if your backup is from iOS 16, and that's the latest, that's the oldest one you have, then you can't restore from a backup. Yeah.
All right.
I mean, it's yeah.
Now, removing the profile won't undo it?
No, removing the profile, all the profile does is keeps you up to date with future versions. It will check the beta update track on Apple servers as opposed to the non-beta update track for new versions that are newer than what you have. So if you install the beta and then remove the beta profile, while iOS 15 is, for example, still the current one, it will check and will say, no, you have a newer version than the update track. So there's nothing to install. So if you're running the beta, you should have the profile installed. But on Monday, I will make sure that I am running, once everything is released and people start posting the build number on Twitter, I will match that with the build number I have, which is iOS version 16.0 20A362. And presuming that 20A362 is the final release, then I will remove the beta profile and then just let my phone update to 16.1 as a release version whenever that comes out.
Okay. All right. So that's all right. So at some point I should get rid of that. Yes.
Yeah.
So that changes its awareness of the release version versus the beta version. Is that right?
Release. Yeah, essentially think of it as, and I don't know what it is, but here's a good way to think of it. There are the servers that push beta updates to your phone, and there are the servers that push release updates to your phone, and the profile chooses which of those servers it's looking at. Right? I mean, that's probably technically incorrect, but it's a decent way to look at it. Yeah. So, yeah.
All right.
Yeah. But
else?
Warren in the chat room points out,
Yeah.
if let's say you're on the beta profile and you leave it on the beta profile, if Apple pushes 16.1 to the release servers, you're not looking at the release servers, you're looking at the beta servers, and so you wouldn't get 16.1. It would just be like, yeah, I'm getting the latest thing from the iOS 16.0 update, beta servers, and so I'm not going to get anything else. So yeah, you probably do want to remove the profile. Or I think you would need to install, and somebody please correct me if I'm wrong, but I think once like 16.0 is released, there's no more updates that come on that channel. I think you would have to install the profile for 16.1, but it's been so long since I've stayed on a beta profile after release that I don't know. So I could be 100% incorrect about that. So just be aware. I highly recommend turning off automatic updates. I do automatic downloads, but not automatic updates for software updates during the beta, especially because I just want to know. Yeah. Okay, so Porthos John in the live chat corrects me. The profile continues into the beta channel for all iOS 16 beta updates, not just 16.0 beta updates. So you would get the 16.1 betas. So you probably, once you confirm that you're on the release version, then assuming you don't want to stay on the beta channel, then turn that off, remove that profile. Yeah. But rolling back to iOS 15, that's a major undertaking.
Yeah, I don't want to do that.
No, you don't want to do that. That's correct. Yes. Correct.
And Apple's always been pretty strict about that, not letting you go back to any previous, regardless of whether you're beta or not.
Correct.
If you're on 15, you aren't going back to 14.
Correct.
Unless you've stored it somehow.
You got to have the whole tiny umbrella server and all that crazy stuff. When New Yorker magazine asked Mark Zuckerberg how he gets his news, he said the one news source he definitely follows is Techmeme. For 4 years now, the Techmeme Ride Home podcast has been Silicon Valley's favorite tech news source. The podcast has become so successful, in fact, that it launched a venture fund where the listeners to the show are the limited partners in the fund. The Techmeme Ride Home is like TLDR as a service. It's not just the latest headlines from the world of tech. It's also the context around the latest news of the day. It's all the top stories, the top posts and tweets and conversations about those stories, as well as the behind-the-scenes analysis. Guests who have come on to lend their expertise include Andreessen Horowitz's Chris Dixon, Bloomberg's Apple Rumor King, Mark Gurman, and the folks at Techmeme are online all day reading everything so they can catch you up. So listen to the one podcast anyone who's anyone in Silicon Valley listens to every single day. Search your podcast app now for Ride Home and subscribe to the Techmeme Ride Home podcast. All right, I want to talk about a little bit of Mac Geek Gab business here, if we can, because we've been there's lots of things that go on here. We mention our premium program pretty regularly, and thank our premium supporters sort of generally. And if you want to learn more about it, you can go to macgeekgab.com/premium. But the premium program was started because many of you wanted to support us directly. And you found creative ways of doing that before we created a channel to do that for you, or channel for you to do that. And when we first did that channel, we wanted to offer something extra for all of you that wanted to support us directly. And so our answer to that was we were doing a couple of extra episodes a month that were behind the paywall effectively. And after, about a year and a half of that, many, in fact, I would say most of you premium folks pointed out that this is not what you had in mind. You did not want to hide the content from the people who weren't supporting us. In fact, it both sort of helping the community was one aspect of it, and the other aspect was the premium listeners, your questions were only being shared with other premium listeners, and that doesn't help anyone, especially not you, because if one of the three of us doesn't know the answer, but someone in the community does, well, then we're not getting that hive mind thing that is sort of the juice that makes Mac Geek Gab as special as it is. So we took those away, and what we realized in that process was something that is now being called value for value in this whole podcasting 2.0 ecosystem, where we're putting the content out there and allowing you to decide if you want to contribute something for it, and if so, how much you would like to contribute for it. So we've been doing this value for value thing for a very long time, and we did not invent it. You invented it. You told us that this is what you wanted. Told us to just keep doing the show that we're doing. Don't get distracted by this other stuff. In fact, you even said, don't worry about like the gifts and all that. No, we're sending you this as thanks, not for something in addition. And it took us a while to wrap our heads around that. But we've learned that that's it. And so we pour our efforts and our funds and all of that into creating the best show that we can for you. So I wanted to explain what premium is. I do want to take a minute and do something that we should be doing regularly, but we have not been recently, and I apologize for that. I want to thank the recent contributors to Mac Geek Gab Premium, and I will do it efficiently, but I am very happy to do it. So since the beginning of this month, and I can't go back since we did this last because otherwise it would just take far too long, and I apologize for that. Since the beginning of this month, we have had contributions from Tony Lawrence, Robert Kane, Jason Archibald, Matt Comer, Jeff Smith, Bruce Williamson, Eric Vesselberg, I think I'm saying that right, Jonathan White, Robert Plymeyer. Okay. I've read that name a million times in email, and I've never had to pronounce it, and I never realized there were two Y's. So Robert Plymeyer, John Stanton Jr., Daniel Carroll, Anthony Beard, Paul Matthias, Mark Rigo, Frank Adade, Drake Zintgraf, Joe Barrett, Barry Fulk, Pierre Timo Anderson, and James Cox. Thank you sincerely to all of you individually and to all of you collectively that are premium subscribers, even those of you, of course, whose names did not come up. They will, I promise. We will resume doing this. We are also going to be adding other paths. And one of the main benefits that you do get as a premium listener is the premium at macgeekgab.com address, right? Because folks send into that all the time. And we do prioritize those emails, although we also, and mostly succeed at this. Our goal is every week to get through 100% of the email that comes in, and we almost always do. We don't include it all on the show, obviously, but we do get through all of the email, which is great. But we do appreciate you premium folks, and so premium at geekgab.com is open to everyone who is a current supporter, and it's up to you what current means. You know, if you are someone who contributes once a month, which you can do on an automated basis, or once every 6 months, which you can do on an automated basis, or you contribute on your own schedule, whatever that schedule is. If in your mind that's current, then please use the premium at macgeekgab.com address. I'll say it's the honor system, but really it's the value for value system, and I like it. There are two paths that we are likely to add shortly here to this. Again, none of these are mandatory. They are just meant to lower the friction points. And so whatever works for you is what we're going to add, or is what you should use. And you certainly shouldn't feel obligated to use more than one of these. Again, unless that's what you want to do. It really is your choice. One of them is Apple subscriptions. We have avoided this for a very long time because Apple's whole subscription model is not built on this value for value thing. It's built on the let's provide something extra for the people who pay thing. Apple doesn't get the value for value thing that y'all created. They seem to think that, well, you need to offer something extra. And it's like, I get why you would think that. We thought that too, and we were wrong. And I literally said these things to them when I was at Podcast Movement. I had a meeting with them and asked about this. And they were like, I'm like, who decides how much? Like, how can a customer decide how much to pay? And they're like, oh, no, you get to decide how much they pay. Like, I don't want to decide how much they pay. It's not up to me what it's worth to them. This doesn't fit. What are you thinking? And there were other things by the time I finished my 15-minute conversation with them, the 4 other people that were meeting with Apple in the room had turned into spectators for the conversation I was having with Apple, because it was obvious that podcasters understand their audiences better than Apple understands podcasters' audiences. And I'm, I tend to be convincing and loud sometimes. So anyway, That said, despite all of its limitations, we are going to start offering Apple subscriptions. And quite frankly, there is only one reason we've decided to do this, because it makes it so much easier for so many of you to contribute. A, Apple already has your credit card. We spent a good chunk of the episode talking about that for different reasons. And B, it allows you to consolidate your spending in one place so you can see it and all of that. So if you want to do that, within the next month, that will go live and it will be out there. There's probably not going to be a whole lot extra there, although I think what we're going to do, and quite frankly, it's because it makes our lives simpler, is we're going to push episodes out early when possible there. We record on Fridays, we release on Mondays. I push everything up on Friday afternoons, and then it just automatically happens with WordPress scheduling it out on Mondays. I can't do that with Apple's system, so I'm going to push it out and release it right away. And so it will be out a little bit earlier, and that way Apple can say, oh, you're doing something extra, kind of. I mean, I think if you figured out the URLs for what an episode MP3 file looks like, you could probably download them early. I don't know if I've ever said that on the show before, but I know some of you have figured it out. It's fine. You know what? By the time it's up, it's complete. We don't change it. So, there's that. And then the other thing that we are working diligently on, in fact, my son Lucas and I spent a good chunk of the day yesterday working on a lot of this, is Podcasting 2.0's true value for value thing, which currently you have to use podcast apps that support it. And it allows you to support in two ways, again, with the right app, and our feed has to support it. And it doesn't yet because we have to set up all kinds of things, which we're working on. But it allows you to stream. It's all Bitcoin payments that happen. And that's just because that's sort of the simplest way to do this now. I see Podcasting 2.0's value for value evolving into fiat currency and all of that. And I have some ideas about how we might actually be able to participate in that evolution. But for now, it's all cryptocurrency, specifically Bitcoin. You can stream Satoshis, which are fractions of a Bitcoin, to us when you listen if you want. Again, all voluntary. Or you can also send what they call boostograms, which are fixed amounts for a one-time fixed amount thing. You might hear a segment that you're like, oh, that was amazing. I want to send a boostogram or any of that. We'll talk more about that once we've actually rolled that out. But that's what's kind of in the hopper here.
Nice.
I don't know. I talked for a lot. John, you and I have had these conversations. Pete, I think actually some of this is new to you. But John, do you have anything to add to what I was saying there?
Nope.
Okay. Thanks. Almost
Offering,
time to get some tea. Yeah.
Offering multiple ways for people to give us money is good.
Yeah. Well, I don't like treating it dismissively like that. This means a lot to me anyway, that there are those of you who choose to support us, and we're trying to make it as easy for you to do that as possible. It's really not a joke. It means a lot to us.
Let me add, Dave, I hadn't really thought about it very much, but when you first started the premium thing, I had been with you guys a little bit. It's like, okay, you're offering something extra, and but it never occurred to me until you just said it that no, that's not why they're supporting it, because they're trying to promote the show and make it bigger. Anyway, they like the show. They like what's going on. They want it to go out to more people. They want, and like you said, and they want answers from other people that may not be premium supporters.
Right.
So that's what they're getting for it, and that's awesome. And the fact that the show is so widely listened to and supported is awesome. I mean, you guys have created something really special here.
You're part of it too, Pete. And
I'm thrilled to be a part of it. Let me add that. And people have written in, and especially during the pandemic when I was gone for a while, so to speak. But people never forgot me in the emails.
Never.
Awesome.
No, exactly. No, it's
so
same. It is an honor to be able to do this. Yeah, it was the evolution of the premium program, I think, where I realized for the first time that the show isn't about us. It's about all of you. And that was a shift, and obviously a good shift, because it's good for us to be aware of the fact of our jobs here. We are we are the stewards of this community for sure, because that's our job, and that's the beginning and end of our job. Now, sometimes we can be the ones to provide answers to your questions. We do have some troubleshooting skills. I mean, that's where all of this started. But a lot of you out there also have good troubleshooting skills. And the reality is, no matter how good any one of us is, we are so much better together because we can't know everything. There's no way. I mean, how many times in this episode have I said something that has immediately been proven incorrect, right? You know, I've made an assumption. It's like, oh, nope, wrong. Hey, it's happened to all three of us all throughout the episode, right? But that's the beauty of this, is it's not about any one of us. It's not even about the three of us. It's about all of us. And that I love that. So, and to that end, we've been making some changes, as I'm sure you've heard, to the intro of the show. I just wanted to acknowledge this. We've had some emails back and forth with you folks, with some of you about this. And the idea is, as new people listen, we want them to understand what they're going to get right away. I think it's Rob Walsh from Libsyn, and a dear friend who's been a friend for a very long time, says and is fond of saying, the most important content you've ever created is the first 30 seconds of your most recent show. And it makes a lot of sense, right? You know, because that's the thing that anyone new is gonna listen to. Now, we don't just want to prioritize the new people. We want everybody to get value. And that's why you heard today was a little bit more on this evolutionary path. It's funny. My initial intent was to provide the entirety of a quick tip, like we did today, as the cold open to the episode. It wasn't until I got emails from you folks that I realized we had not done that. The closest we ever got was when I shared Skylar, my daughter's tip about like moving messages around and copying them from things. But that wasn't in the cold open. That was like right in the intro when we were saying our, where we're from or whatever. The last couple of weeks, we've teased an upcoming tip. That is not our intention, but it is what happened. And I totally get how that is, annoying. Right. We want to provide value, not entice you to get value later. Right. I'm going to provide value now, and hopefully that entices you to want more. Right. And so that's why we put that quick tip from Ben in the cold open of the show today. And that was it. Right. Like we didn't have to revisit it because the entirety of it was shared. So we endeavor to keep doing that. It's not going to be easy, though. But, that's OK. It's our job. I don't know.
Yeah,
what do you think, John?
I think and I won't be a wise guy this time.
Thank you.
Yes, sorry, I didn't mean to be dismissive. There was one session that I went to, and it did open my eyes, and I think it's a tangent to this maybe, but it was a group of professional podcasters. And what they did was play the first 30 seconds and show the copy for each podcast, and then ask the audience, do you know what this podcast is about? And there was, most of them, you kind of got an inkling, but like there was one where nobody raised their hand because there was absolutely no way within the first 30 seconds, or it just wasn't said. I mean, ours, I think, is a little different. I mean, you have an idea through the title that it has something to do with Macs, though we talk about other things.
Right.
But I just thought it was an interesting exercise in that, yeah. So but it backs up the first 30 seconds are important for a number of reasons, and one is that people know what they're getting themselves into.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah. So that's I don't want to take too much more time on this, and there's a reason I put it at the end of the episode here so that we could just have a conversation about it. But you know what I'm going to do as thanks for listening to all of this. Of course, please send us your feedback about any of this to feedback@macgeekgab.com, or if you're a premium supporter, and again, that's your definition through any channel in whatever period of time works for you, then you are correct. You are a premium supporter. So you can send to premium@macgeekgab.com. But I do want to share a cool stuff found that I found recently because I really like this thing. And it is the Anker GAN Prime 615 USB power strip. And this thing's interesting. It's got two AC outlets, 3-prong AC outlets, one USB-A port, two USB-C ports. It is 65 watts total. And if you're watching the video, you can see that the cable is much longer than it appears because it's also got this, like baked into it. It's really, you got to just see it. It's hard to describe, but it has a roll away extension cord, which would be super helpful in hotel rooms and things like that, where you are, often stuck with things. And smartly, wisely, the plug at the end of the extension cord is a right angle plug. So it would fit behind a bed or a desk or all of those pesky little places. And then when you're done with it, it just kind of rolls away and you throw the whole thing into your travel bag and you're good to go. I'm impressed with this thing. It's $70 on Amazon today. Who knows what it'll be when you go to buy, because that's how those things are. But it is available. Like, you can get it delivered. It's not one of these things that doesn't exist anymore and all of that. So this is the Anker GAN Prime 65-watt charging station, 2 USB-C, 2 AC outlets, 3-pronged, and 1 USB-A. So that's my addition for cool stuff found. I know we're long on time, but it is a cool thing, and I wanted to share it and add a little bit more value at the end here. So with that, I think it's time to bring the band in.
Oh, those guys.
Those guys. Yeah, that's nice weather outside. They don't care. Yeah.
Yeah, where you are.
Consolidated came to my house again. I submitted a support ticket to fix a pesky issue I'm having. They texted me yesterday saying they were coming today, but I could reply, number one, to tell them I needed to reschedule. I did that. And then the reply I got was to call them, and I did that. And they said they were going to come on Monday. I asked if we could change that to Tuesday. They said yes. And evidently they came while we were recording the show here today. So that's cool. That's cool.
Send them to my house. I still don't have service there.
That's the thing is I really like that they're super responsive, but I need to be able to communicate with you. Like, I can't just sit around. Anyway, thanks for hanging out with us. If you need more of that Pilot Pete guy, you can go listen to his other show, SoThereIWas.us, or just look for So There I Was on your favorite podcast app. Yeah, man.
Cool show up. We got the former commanding officer of the USS Nimitz on the most recent show, episode 17.
Amazing.
Fascinating guy to talk to. In fact, he's going to be 2 shows because we spent so long with us.
It's awesome.
Fun stuff. Yeah.
Cool. Thanks for that.
Thank you for all your support.
Of course, yeah. I know the audience. There is a not insignificant segment of this audience that is loving that show for sure.
They are, and they've been writing to me. It's been awesome. I'm thrilled.
Woo!
Thank you. In fact, we put one of these listeners listen to my show, and one of the guests from a couple weeks ago, he and my guest were in the FBI together, and they had lost track of each other. They're now back in touch with each other. So.
Oh, amazing! I love it.
Yeah.
Yes. See, we are but stewards.
Yes.
Cashfly is someone who deserves a lot of thanks for being the steward that gets our audio from us to you. So thanks to Cashfly. You can go get some MGG merch. Go to MacGeekGab.com/merch. Get your t-shirts. We've got some stickers. Got some other things there and more coming. Fun stuff. Thanks for hanging out with us, everybody. We'll see you next time. Pete! I think it's your turn to share advice.
I've got some advice. Don't get caught.
Made up.